our lives get lucky when a car manufacturer blesses us with gifts from heaven. And these gifts are sleeper cars. So in this episode of Top Cars by Motor Madness, we are discussing 5 cars that are more than 10 years old and will still defeat cars that come out on the road today. Hello and welcome to Top Cars by Motor Madness. I'm your host Chris Bobby, and before we get into the video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Motor Madness YouTube channel. Volvo, the legendary Swedish car manufacturer known for their safety and their boring family cars. But there is no doubt that the Volvo V70R will fulfill your wildest dreams. They've got plenty of space for action and you can sneak under the radar wherever you go. And you got a turbo 5-cylinder powerhouse sitting under the hood, pushing out, wait for it, 300 horsepower, and putting the power onto the ground is the harder all-wheel drive system with a 0 to 60 that comes right under 6 seconds. And this is straight up one of the best sleeper cars that have ever existed. And yes, they are really boring to look at. So boring that people will literally look past you, and that is until you roast them. When you think of Mazda, you usually think of a boring grocery getter for a family of 5, probably. And yeah, you're kinda right. But back in 2006, Mazda made something a little special, something a little different, and they called it the Mazda Speed 6, and in other markets the Mazda 6 MPS. And yes, like the V70, the Mazda Speed 6 came with an all-wheel drive system, and knowing Mazda, this is pretty surprising. Under the hood sat a turbo 4-cylinder with an impressive 274 horsepower, making the dash to 60 in only 5.5 seconds. And there is a pretty big aftermarket scene for this car, so the possibilities are pretty much endless. And if you do get one of these cars, please just don't forget to put an exhaust in it. Something you probably didn't know is that they can easily stand with the Evos and the SDIs, and even win if you do it right. And don't ever look down on a 4-cylinder turbo engine. The next car on this list joined with Porsche to make a total beast of a car. And the third car on this list is the Mercedes-Benz 500e. And at a quick glance, it is a very modest car, and that is where it gets you. And the fact that keeps this car apart from the rest of the cars in this list is that the 2 German manufacturers decided to put a 5-litre V8 into their car. And boy oh boy did they hit the nail on the dot. With a total of 326 horsepower roaring from the back and a 0 to 60 time in just 6.1 seconds, the car was a total beast. And this car was mostly hand-built, and it took 18 days of blood, sweat and tears to get this beast of a car on the road. And just 8 to 12 of these cars were ever produced a day. So the number of cars that actually came out are pretty limited, and probably will end up costing you a pretty penny. But on the good side, it was built in the same factory as a Porsche 959. Now the next car on this list was also co-produced with Porsche. The Audi RS2 is probably one of the best Audis ever created, and the best part is no one will know what you're in. For all people will know, you're in a boring 90s Audi wagon. But let's wind up the clock back to 1994, where the guys at Audi had a brilliant idea. They decided to make their first ever Audi wagon and then release it to the public. But let me tell you, the world was not ready for this estate car that did 0 to 60 in just 4.8 seconds. And it was powered by a beautifully designed inline-5, which was of course mated with Audi's amazing all-wheel drive quattro system. So let's just say the launches in these were hilariously fun. And personally, my favourite part is that the car comes in this beautiful colour called Nagara Blue. And if you can just own one car for the rest of your life, this is probably the best car you can have. And that's because it had Porsche 911 parts all over the place, including side mirrors, wheels, turn signals, and fog lights. And these are just one of the positive factors in this car. Now, what happens if you combine a load of cars with a really fancy flower? Well, you get the Lotus Carlton. Anyways, this badass sedan is nothing like anything else. Lotus took a Vauxhall Carlton, also known as a Opel Omega, and threw just about everything out of it and anything they had into it. And this created a massively upgraded model which could potentially be competing against supercars. And at the time, the car had a 377 horsepower turbocharged inline 6 powering the rear wheels, and that fully built motor had more than enough power to burn the rubber out of any tyre. Oh, and on top of that, this car had amazing stopping power, which came from massive AP racing brakes. And you know, the engine was casually mated with a 6-speed manual transmission straight out of a Corvette ZR1. And with only 950 of these cars ever produced, you can definitely be thinking about paying a pretty penny. But let's be honest, by the sounds of this car, it is definitely worth it. Now that was the top 5 sleeper cars that you should definitely buy. But don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Motor Madness YouTube channel. To subscribe to the Motor Madness YouTube channel, you can go ahead and click this button, and to see my last video, you can click right here. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.